there is little innovation. There is not so much of innovation.
But then my question then...
They're predictable.
Again, you find they're predictable, but then again, what options are open to them? Because again, as Mark has aptly demonstrated, they do not have control of the House, correct? There have been claims, okay, now Oshende Amolo said they could go to the courts, or they plan to go to the courts. But even that, they've disparaged the courts. They said, just as the executive has captured Parliament, we fear that the judicial system has also been captured.
If you talk about options, that's why I said,
what else
first of all, they need to go through the healing process, move away from 9th August, and then now find themselves. Once they find themselves, they'll be able to be strategic. Because as it is today, the opposition is not only tasteless, it's hollow. They are flying blind.
Okay.
Because, you know, you asked a question, what options do they have? So do we choose suicide every time things become difficult? That is lazy thinking. Do we choose the mutually assured destruction option every time, let's say, every time Russia and the US, for example, argue and bicker?
Let me bring in Javas again at this point.
Would it be fair for them
question.
every time to bring the nuclear weapons up? No. But there are better ways of dealing.
What options then?
A lot of options.
I'll pose the question
Find
to
themselves, become strategic, and then engage, because they are speaking for a lot of people.
All right. Find themselves sounds very self-help, but you know, self-help also includes steps.
It applies everywhere.
Because we talked about steps of grieving and all of that. But Javas, what options then are left to them? Are their hands essentially tied?
If their hands are tied, they have tied their hands by themselves. Now, we know that an orphaned calf will always have to lick its own back. Azimio is orphaned. And at strategy level, at tactful, at the level of tact, they seem to be demonstrating that they are quite feeble. Now, as a matter of fact, you realize that this pulling to different sides could be germinating from the multifarious interests that the leadership of Azimio is presently facing. Be deceived not. Raila Odinga's interests in the circumstances vary quite considerably from the interests of Martha Karua, Wajakoya, Edwin Sifuna, Mwangi wa Iria, all that slate of leaders or principles within Azimio. Today, as a matter of fact, you would realize that Kalonzo Musyoka, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, 10th Vice President of Kenya, Martha Karua, Wajakoya, Mwangi wa Iria, are using Raila Odinga, the Earl of Bondo, as their political crutches. But the question arises, for how long will a puppy suckle the wilting teats of a dying mother? Not long. And so here you realize that in the absence of a Raila Odinga onslaught against the Kenya Kwanza regime, Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka have no platform, have no voice, have no vocal cord. Raila Odinga, he knows that at this sunset period in his political career, he has to do everything to remain politically relevant, lest he's written off. Recall that immediately after the election, Kalonzo Musyoka and others had begun writing Raila Odinga off, saying that they are now preparing themselves to take over, to inherit Raila Odinga's political bedrock. Raila Odinga did not permit them that. And so if it's a question of using Maandamano or demonstrations, which in fact is due to anyone and any organization or any political party as provided for in the Constitution, within that constitutional permit, it must be used with the benefit of caution for the greater good, not purposefully just for purposes of engaging in, as we have seen in the most recent past, the politics of destruction and agency of anarchy. If at all, indeed, the state of the economy is so bad, of course, we know that the cost of living is so high here in this country and elsewhere on the continent and elsewhere in the world, then why should it be most strategic to embrace and pursue a path of Maandamano, which we know very well that leads to lots of destruction for the very people that it's being claimed are being fought for?
Okay.
And so to that extent, it is possible that the choices that Azimio has are few. One of them,
allow me to take a break. Then we come back with the choices. And then Mark, but because I need to take a break, Javas,
Sure.
sorry for cutting you short. Mark, there's something in this particular Standard article that was penned yesterday, and in which Javas was quoted